Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear learners. I welcome you to English Grade 9 video lessons. I'm your instructor Zia Hamid. I hope that you're doing well. So as you know that we are dealing with our unit number 2 titled A Visionary Leader. And this will be our lecture number 6. We are dealing with the competency of oral communication, and the topic is also about oral communication. It's on active listening and responding in a standard punctuation. So this is all about that. So let's begin by reading and understanding our students' learning outcome. For this lesson, it says, demonstrate attentive listening skills to respond orally with standard pronunciation. So let's break it down. What are we supposed to do in this SLO? We will demonstrate attentive listening skills. We have to acquire the skills of listening to anything, in any conversation, any communication, to be listening in an attentive style so that we can get most out of the conversation or communication that we are having. So, and also we will respond orally with standard pronunciation. Not only we will be listening, but we will also learn how can we respond to the other person, and also we will be actively seeing that we are taking care of our punctuation, pronunciation also. So this is all about our student learning outcome for this lesson. Now here is a vertical linkage of the previous grade. You can read that and recall what you have learned in grade 8. Now let's begin by the name of Allah. We have a very beautiful verse from Surah Al-Araf, verse 204. It says, when the Quran is recited, listen to it attentively and be silent so you may be shown mercy. So we can see that Allah encourages active and attentive listening. When the Quran is being read, we have to stay silent and listen to it attentively, so that we can get the most out of the message that is being conveyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this resonates with our students' learning outcome. We can see that this is very important that we acquire active, attentive listening skills so that we can be very much efficient in our communication, and we can convey our message in a very clear form. So for that, we have an interesting pre-reading for you. We have a question, a prompt here. What are some challenges you face when listening and responding in English? My dear learners, you may come across so many different problems when you're communicating with your fellow or your friend in English. So can you recall the last time you talked with someone in English and the problems that you faced during that, in both listening and comprehending the message that is coming your way and also responding to it to the other person? So can you recall that? I hope that there are many instances that occurred. So let us list down the problems that we face so that we can eradicate them effectively. So after that, let's storm your brains. Why do we communicate? Why do we make conversations? And why is attentive listening important? Can you come up with different points? Pause the video, think about it so that we can move further. Okay, now that's very good. We have an interesting activity for you. An audio clip will be played. It is also added in the description of the video. You can find it there. It's a very short interview. You can listen to it and then answer these questions. These two questions or prompts. So first one is, can the interviewee speak Spanish fluently? And number two is, after the clip ends, take a minute to recall and recount as much details as you can remember. So it's a very short 1 or 1.5 minute interview clip. I hope that you will easily grasp the communication that's happening in the video. Now, let's break down our SLO. We came across these three things in the student's learning outcome. One is attentive listening, then we have responding orally, and standard pronunciation. So let's deal with attentive listening first. What does it mean? Yes, it means that you have to be attentive while you're listening. You may be listening to any interview or having a group discussion or anything in that matter. So this involves actively focusing on the speaker, understanding their message, and demonstrating comprehension through nonverbal cues also, like eye contact, nodding, and verbal cues like brief acknowledgement, asking clarifying clear questions. So this is all about attentive and active listening. First, you have to focus on the speaker. You have to make good eye contact and then try to ask more questions to get the message clear or to get more details from the speaker. Also, we have to actively see the non-verbal cues, the non-verbal communication cues that we have, like making eye contact or nodding your head while you're listening to the speaker, and other verbal cues like briefing, ask more about that, the subject that is being talked about, or acknowledgements and asking clarifying questions. So this, after doing these two things, verbal cues and non-verbal cues, you can get the most out of the speaker, and this will help you and this will make you a better and an attentive listener. So then we have responding orally. So what do we do when in attentive listening skills? We actually respond also. We don't just stay quiet and silent and listen to the other person or the speaker. We have to respond as well, right? So this involves formulating a clear and concise response based on the information heard. And also we have standard pronunciation. It means that you have to articulate words in a very clear way so that it is easily understandable to the speaker or the person you're responding to. So this refers to using clear and accurate pronunciation of words, including proper stresses, intonations, and articulation. You already know about the concept of stressing when you're speaking. You have to stress on the right word, on the right part of the sentence that you're talking about, and also use intonations and articulation. You have to be articulate and very well spoken and make your words as clear as you can. So this is all about standard pronunciation. So these three things combine, and then you can have your attentive listening skills in a very good way. So here we have a picture for you. It involves the listener carefully understand, remember, and thoughtfully respond to what they have heard. Active listening is also like attentive listening. So this is one step further basically. So this is what you do in active listening. It involves the listener carefully understands and remember that and thoughtfully respond. So your memory also plays a good and key part in this. You have to be you have to remember what you're hearing or what you're listening. So talking about the word listening, why is it important? So let's see. We have 3 points here. It's important to understand information and instructions in class or in any setting, have meaningful conversations with friends and family, and also learn from others and share your own ideas. So this is why listening is important. Now, you must have heard the word hearing and listening. How do you differentiate between these two? Let's see. So hearing, it implies perceiving sounds. It's a passive process. It involves effortless effortless activity. When we are hearing, we are not actually processing. For example, if you're sitting in your class, you can hear different sounds from the window or from the class next to you, the next door class. You are only hearing it. You are not listening it. You are listening to your teacher. So these sounds that we hear unintentionally and we are not paying attention to it, these are just sounds that we hear. This is our hearing process. So, and this is a passive process because we are not actively involved in it. On the other hand, listening is about understanding information with involvement from mind and body. It's an active process and it requires conscious efforts, concentration, and interest. So you can clearly see the contrast, the difference between these two. So when you're listening, you're actually paying attention and you're listening it very carefully, and you are active also, unlike in hearing where you are mostly passive. So this is the difference between hearing and listening. Now we have a listening process here. It goes like this. You hear, you attend something, you understand or comprehend it, and then you respond, and then you remember, and then the circle goes on. So this is the listening process. Let's talk about pronunciation. This is the part when we are responding, right? So what is standard pronunciation? Saying words clearly and accurately with proper stress and intonation. It makes you easier to understand and sound confident. So this is why we should use our words in a clear way. Try to sound more open, and when you're talking, you have to move your mouth in a way that you don't mumble, you don't make other sounds. So you have to be more open about the things that you're saying. Your words, your sentences should be clear. So my dear learners, we have an interesting simulation video for you. This is basically a conversation in an animated form. I hope that you will enjoy it. You can pause the video or you can watch this video later after this lesson. So for your classroom activity, we have this group discussion prompts. You can be divided in groups and you can ask these questions to each other, and keep in mind the attentive listening skills and the whole process that we have studied. Okay, so we have a worksheet, my dear fellow teachers and learners. You can solve this worksheet. It can be found easily in the description of the video. So for homework, what do we have? You can find anything, find a podcast or TED Talk, and then listen to the audio content attentively without any distractions. After listening, reflect on the following questions. What are those questions? They are: what was the main message or idea conveyed in the audio? What key points stood out to you the most? And did you encounter any challenges while trying to maintain focus? If so, how did you overcome them? So whether you find an interview, a podcast, or any TED Talk, you can clearly you can watch that and then ask yourself these questions, jot them down, discuss it with your fellows, so that you can get most out of the homework that you are assigned. And finally, we are here at the end of the lesson. We have our resources. We have worksheet, a presentation, and a lesson plan. All these are included in the description of the video. My dear learners, I hope that you had great time learning about attentive listening skills and how you can respond to it correctly according to the SLO, and also using standard pronunciation so that you can be easily understood by the other person or by your teacher. Thank you so much. Until the next lecture, Allah Hafiz.